every single bit, exactly. So she sold us out again today. This so-called transitional period should have started on June the 24th last year, the day after the referendum. And before you tell me Theresa May wasn't in power then, David Cameron was. He gave us the referendum. Now, there are 17.4 million people in this godforsaken country that are bloody furious with the government. The government, she didn't actually say 20 billion today, but she has we all know about the extra 20 billion. We should be out of the European Union today. We, the people, are not going to stand for... If you listen to this video as I asked you to, the first thing we're going to do is thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of us are going to bombard David Davis with emails. 4 days ago, a judiciary compiled by this amazing gentleman was put on the desk of David Davis. We took it to the Supreme Court of Justice in London and they approved it. In that paperwork is everything David Davis needs and Theresa May needs to get us out of that stinking club across the water. None of us want to be in the EU, and the government have sold us out yet again. What are you going to do? Because if you don't do something, we are going to take to the streets. I warned you in July that the people were angry. Now we're effing furious, Damien.
Yeah. Well,
we are not going to stand for this. So what are you going to do?
Well, we're leaving the EU.
We're not. Theresa May just signed us up until 2021.
No, she didn't. No, what Theresa May is doing is saying our legal separation from the EU will happen in...
I watched the speech, Damien. I know exactly what she said.
So what she's talking about is that for single market arrangements for certain sectors, certain industries, there'll be call it a transition period, a period of implementation or adjustment, where some industries will phase out.
I watched it. I understand what she said.
Over that period of time. Now, if businesses are coming to us saying, industries coming to us saying, actually, it's far less disruptive for us to have a period of transition.
Why didn't the transitional period start on June the 24th, the day after the United Kingdom, 17.4 million of us, it was a record turnout, and 52% of this country voted out of the European Union. That transitional period should have already been set in place by the government. I mean, Ted Heath, for Christ's sake, he illegally signed us up. That man committed treason in 1972. He committed treason, and every successive government since have gone along with that. Those papers were sealed for 30 years by Ted Heath.
All I can say is that we are delivering what we said we would do.
No, you're not.
To leave the EU.
You're not. You are ignoring the will of the people.
If you just want to shout at me, there's not really much point being here. That we are doing that. Theresa May set out in a speech today her view on the way single market access should be phased out over a 2-year period after we've left, and all of that has got to be debated and agreed by the House of Commons. Okay, so Theresa May can't just give a speech and everything she says in the speech just automatically happens. It all has to be scrutinised and debated in the House, and so I'll be very interested to see exactly what proposals come forward, at that time. But
so why don't you tell Theresa May to talk to David Davis? Every single thing that he needs. We want the 1972 ECA Act made void. Yeah. It was illegal.
Yeah. Well,
Ted Heath and every successive government since have committed treason, Damien.
We are passing a bill at the moment through the House of Commons called the EU Withdrawal Bill, and that's
the Great Repeal Bill. Yeah, we know about that.
Yeah. So what does it repeal? It repeals the European Communities Act 1972.
The 1972 Act was illegal. Yeah. Which bit of that aren't you understanding?
Okay.
Why are the government bribing the EU?
It repeals that act.
You are bribing the EU, Damien.
No, we're not bribing the EU.
Yes, you are.
No, we're not.
Of course you are.
No, I think we'll just have to. I don't think there's very much I can say today which is going to satisfy you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, that's fine. That's up to you. Yeah. But you tell Theresa May from all of us. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about thousands, tens of thousands of people right around this country. Yeah. We're peaceful. Yeah. We're peaceful. We are using English common law, which the government have completely ignored for decades and decades. Now, we have gone the legal way. We've done everything right. We've put that paperwork on David Davis's desk.
That's absolutely your right to do that.
Theresa May has two choices. She either speaks to David Davis and she gets him to study that paperwork and get us out of the EU without paying them a single penny. We don't owe them a single penny, Damien. Nothing. We've paid in nearly... What have we paid in? 60 odd trillion?
Yeah. But Theresa May,
since 1972.
she's not suggesting that we just.
This isn't the government's money, Damien. It's ours. It's public money.
She's not suggesting that we just give the money. What she's saying is that if there was a transitional period of leaving the single market.
Why should there be a transitional period?
Well, because that may suit a lot of businesses better.
So why didn't the transitional period? I mean, Theresa May is saying that the next 2 years after March 2019 is going to be a transitional period. Now, why didn't she put that into effect straight away?
Only on single market access. Only on single market access.
We don't want a transitional period. We don't want anything to do with the EU. So why aren't you listening to the people?
So we'd be out. We would be a non-member state. We would be outside the institutions of the European Union. And the only question there is whether, on a transitional period of 2 years, single market rules would apply whilst particular industries and sectors come out of the single market during that period of time. We wouldn't be a full member of the EU at all.
No, exactly. And during this 2 year period, we don't get, as Theresa May said, we don't get a seat at that table.
Yeah.
So basically, what Theresa May is doing is she's paying that stinking club over the water our hard-earned money, and she won't have the faintest idea what they're talking about.
Well,
that is not what we voted for, Damien. We voted out of the EU.
Yeah, we will be out of the EU in 2019.
Yeah, when the Tories get round. I'm sorry, but
we'll be out of the EU in 2019, and all the Prime Minister's talking about.
We'll be out a lot sooner than that. Trust me.
Yeah, all she's talking about now is whether there should be a transitional period of 2 years.
No, there shouldn't.
Why didn't she ask the
people? Why didn't she ask the people? Why wasn't there a vote?
Well, it has to go through the House of Commons, but we're leaving.
So why weren't we asked? Rather than her turn around and tell the EU they've got a transitional period. We don't want the people who voted out do not want a transitional period.
Fine, but all of that has to be agreed by the House of Commons. It has to be passed by the House of Commons and debated in the House of Commons. Now that has not happened yet. The Prime Minister set out in a speech her view on how this could work, and all of this still has to go through Parliament. So
what you're saying is basically that everything Theresa May said in her speech goes. Yes?
No, what I'm saying is everything she set out in her speech, the arrangements to deliver any of that have to be agreed by Parliament. And at the moment, no motions were put to the House to do that.
Parliament are dragging it out. You've got idiots like Jeremy Corbyn arguing every 2 seconds. You've got the Lib Dems arguing every 2 seconds. The SNP
the timetable for Brexit is really clear because you trigger Article 50, which we did. There's a 2 year period, and then you're out. There's actually...
Yes, but after that 2 year period, we are still going to be paying the EU money because of the transitional period that Theresa May has just said we have to have.
Well, that's her view.
She said we've got to pay them 20 billion on top.
That has to be agreed.
It's not happening, Damien. We're not having it.
Well, she didn't say 20 billion, did she? So
no, she didn't say it in words, but we all know exactly what she was on about.
Anyway, I don't think there's any more I can add to it for now. But
okay, well, the other option she's got, if she doesn't tell David Davis to look at that paperwork and get this sorted, 17.4 million of us are going to take to the streets.
Yeah, okay.
We're done. Honestly. Pots and pans, people.